The march of time felt like a relentless siege. Each dawn brought another stretch of quiet, a new period of absence that gnawed at the hollow within me. Nights often dissolved into muffled sobs, my own anguish a constant companion. An abyss, profound and seemingly impassable, had cleaved itself between my beloved wife, Ilara, and me. With every measured beat of the clock counting our separation, a chilling certainty solidified. I was losing her irrevocably. The notion of her choosing not to return was unbearable, and the mere thought of another soul by my side was anathema. Thus, I clung to any flimsy pretext, any bureaucratic fissure, that might afford me proximity, a singular opportunity to address her. The supervising physician, a man whose face was etched with fatigue and whose voice held a perpetual, unsettling neutrality, reiterated the same disheartening mantra. She expressed no desire for contact, no wish to see or hear from me. My frustration, a simmering brew, boiled over. I unleashed threats of legal action, invoking patient advocacy committees and rigid procedural mandates. Could they truly uphold such stringent isolation in the glare of official scrutiny? To my astonishment, this appeal to protocol proved effective. The very labyrinthine rules of the system, unexpectedly, became my ally, dictating that it was I, her lawfully wedded husband, who must accompany her upon her release from the institution. When Ilara's eyes met mine in the softly lit discharge lounge, under the cool, humming fluorescence, she froze. A flash of distaste, fleeting yet undeniable, rippled across her features before being swiftly veiled. Or perhaps distaste was too potent a word. The cocktail of palliative medications likely smoothed its edges into a profound discomfort. She appeared pallid, her usual vibrant spirit muted, moving with a subtle, almost dreamlike languor towards the waiting dark sedan. Her greeting was a hushed monotone, and she immediately slipped into the rear seat, establishing an instant physical divide. Conscious of the physician's earlier caution, that my very presence was a primary trigger for her agitation, I held my tongue, terrified that a single misplaced syllable might shatter the fragile truce. We eased away from the curb. "Are my garments? Are they still at the Lakeside Lodge?" she eventually inquired, her voice distant, like a whisper across a chasm. "Yes, my dear. Everything remains untouched. Is there something chilled to drink in here? My mouth feels parched." Without a word, I guided the vehicle onto the shoulder adjacent to a small, brightly illuminated market nestled by the highway. Inside, under the stark glare of the overhead lights, I procured a frosty bottle of green tea. Back in the sedan, she accepted it and drank deeply, quickly depleting nearly half the bottle. We rejoined the flowing stream of traffic, maintaining a deliberately moderate pace, barely cresting 55 miles per hour. My habitual tendency to occasionally exceed the speed limit had always grated on Ilara. Silence enveloped us once more. As I merged onto the primary thoroughfare, accelerating gently to the posted 65, she spoke again. "Where do you intend to take me?" "To our residence. Our apartment. The children, Serafina and Lysander." "Where are they?" "They're at the Lakeside Lodge. With my parents." A pause. "Take me there." "To the lodge." Without a syllable of protest, I signaled, patiently awaited a break in the traffic flow, and executed a precise U-turn at the next designated crossover. A faint, almost imperceptible curve touched her lips, perhaps an acknowledgement of my uncharacteristic deference. Catching her reflection in the rearview mirror, a profound yearning surged within me. To pull over, to enfold her in my arms, to somehow bridge the vast expanse between us. Yet, a chilling apprehension restrained me. Would she truly consent to remain with me, or would this fragile reunion merely serve as a prelude to her demanding a life apart? Unable to endure the quiet tension any longer, I finally spoke, keeping my voice as steady as I could. "Serafina has been incredibly anxious regarding your absence. Lysander too, though he processes things internally more. It's peculiar. They seem to have matured so much these past weeks. Less like children, more grounded. They articulate their thoughts like young adults now. Perhaps some positive outcome emerged from this ordeal. Seeing you, knowing you're nearby, that will be the greatest balm for their spirits. Allow me to be explicit," she interjected, her voice flat yet resolute. The mere sight of you irritates me. Very well. I shall simply endeavor not to direct my gaze your way. Whatever brings you comfort, my love. Ilara offered a thin, ambiguous smile. Another stretch of quiet settled over us as we drove, the miles steadily accumulating. It suddenly occurred to me that my parents at the lodge were unaware of our impending arrival. Pulling onto the gravel shoulder to avoid distracting Ilara with conversation while navigating, I dialed our son, Lysander. Son, listen, could you activate the water heater, please? And perhaps set the kettle to boil for some herbal tea. Your mother and I are en route. Ilara extended her hand expectantly. Let me converse with him. I passed her the device. Hello, sweet one. How have you been managing without me? Me too. We'll be there momentarily. All right. Farewell. Returning the phone, a genuine, albeit fragile, smile briefly illuminated her face. We resumed our journey in silence. As we neared the turnoff for the secluded lakeside community where the lodge stood, Ilara requested I halt the vehicle. She fumbled within her elegant handbag and retrieved a small tablet, swallowing it without water. I'm not meant to experience agitation, she explained softly. Must maintain things serene. Only gentle emotions are permitted. The medication quickly enveloped her again, lending her an air of tranquil detachment that I found profoundly disquieting in the mother of my children. It was as if a vital internal pressure valve had been deliberately loosened. At the lodge, my mother greeted us on the expansive timber porch, her eyes performing a swift, anxious assessment of Ilara, finally settling on her simple attire, soft linen trousers and an oversized, flowing tunic, with a faint nod of relief. The immediate priority, unspoken yet understood, was shedding the lingering aura of the institution. Serafina quietly offered to accompany her mother to the washroom to refresh herself. Later, we gathered around the immense, polished pine table in the central great room. My father shifted uncomfortably, but 4 smiles were exchanged, punctuated predominantly by silence. That night, I relocated my sleeping arrangements to the small antechamber off the main living area, laying my mattress directly on the floor in the very space where the devastating chasm in our lives had first appeared months prior. Having spent the entire previous night finalizing intricate architectural blueprints, I realized I hadn't achieved proper rest in nearly 48 hours. Even potent coffee failed to cut through the bone-deep weariness. At the lodge, merely kicking off my shoes and lying down to test the pillow felt like succumbing to an irresistible gravitational pull. Sleep claimed me instantly. When I awoke, I discovered a light, hand-stitched quilt tucked securely around me. Sunlight streamed through the window. It was precisely 6 o'clock in the morning. I had slept for a solid 12 hours. Outside, tendrils of mist curled gracefully off the tranquil lake, gradually thinning as the sun ascended higher. Then I saw her, a solitary figure standing near the water's edge. I quickly pulled on some clothes and hurried outside. Ilara, what are you doing out here at such an early hour? It has been an extended period since I experienced a man's touch, she replied, her voice eerily flat, almost mechanical. I thought I might locate someone suitable. Her words struck me like a blast of icy water. Perhaps I could be suitable? I offered hesitantly, the question a raw ache in my throat. It has been an extended period for me as well. No, she stated simply. You hold no appeal for me. All right, I said, forcing a levity I was far from feeling. Then let us simply stand here together. I shall keep an eye out for a woman for myself, and you may await your man. She shot me a look simmering with irritation before turning sharply and walking back towards the lodge. A new, sickening realization dawned upon me. Her perception of reality was more fractured than I had previously dared to fear. I needed to somehow recalibrate her understanding, but the how remained terrifyingly elusive. Around the midday meal, Lysander came sprinting, breathless, finding me splitting kindling near the woodshed. Father, hasten. Come quickly, down by the winding river bend. He was still clad in his sturdy denim work trousers and worn-out boots. We jogged down the narrow path leading through the dense stand of pines to the water's edge. There was Ilara, engaged in animated conversation with 3 men I did not recognize. Rough-hewn locals, perhaps, judging by their attire and demeanor. "All right, Lysander," I whispered urgently. "Ready your cellular device, camera activated. When I address them, they will turn. Capture clear images of their faces, then head directly back to the lodge. Do not look back. Explain the situation to your grandfather." I stepped out from behind a colossal oak. "Hey, you fellows, what precisely is transpiring here?" One of them, bulkier than the others, swaggered forward. "Who exactly wishes to know? Mind your own concerns." "Thank you, understood," I stated, ostentatiously slipping my phone back into my pocket as if I had merely concluded a recording. The aggressive one began to advance towards me, but I did not await formalities. A swift, forceful shove sent him stumbling sideways into one of his companions. Caught off guard, their brief moment of disarray was sufficient. Perceiving that their potential prey now possessed backup and possibly evidence, they scrambled away along the riverbank in divergent directions. "Why did you feel the need to intervene?" Alara expressed her displeasure with the same unsettling calm. I was not yet finished. Her words pierced me, but I fought to maintain an outward composure as we walked back towards the lodge, me trailing slightly behind her. "And you asserted it had been such a long time," I began, attempting to follow her peculiar logic. "Just a couple of days ago, you said precisely that. And I was right here, patiently awaiting your return. There, you see? It's all settled now. We are together. My foolish girl, were you doing that deliberately? Testing my resolve? Hoping I would come?" I stumbled over the words, my voice thick with raw emotion. She nodded slowly, almost imperceptibly, and added in a near whisper, "I decided to extend you another opportunity. I realized you simply could not reach me back there. But here, I knew if your love for me was true, you would unequivocally come. And you did." She looked at me then, her eyes clearing slightly, gaining a glimmer of their former brilliance. "My dearest love," from her profoundly naive reasoning, her sincere, almost childlike faith in some mystical summons of affection, tears welled uncontrollably in my eyes. In her fractured reality, she had not betrayed me, not at the facility, not here. She needed to feel the potential presence of another man, to provoke my jealousy, my primal protective instinct. If I loved her, I would fly to her rescue, metaphorical wings and all, and gather her into my safe embrace. My collecting her from the hospital, driving her here, that signified nothing tangible to her injured psyche. But this, my arrival at the river bend, answering the call of her heart, this unequivocally proved my love. And now, our souls were reunited. Just then, my father hurried down the path, carrying a heavy-duty camping lantern like a makeshift club. All right, let us return inside," he urged, glancing around nervously, "before anyone else observes Alara in this state." Back in the warmth of the lodge, Alara underwent another profound transformation. Suddenly, I became the absolute nucleus of her universe. Her gaze, now filled with palpable adoration, rarely strayed from my face. She frequently murmured terms of endearment, my devotion, my heart. This dramatic shift was startling not merely to me, but to every person present. Later, after things had settled into a fragile equilibrium, Alara and I found ourselves alone on the screen porch swing. It was there she spoke about her time away, about seeking connection, describing intimate encounters with others using vague euphemisms like exploring facets of intimacy and experiential learning. "Are you weeping?" she inquired, surprised, noticing the moisture glistening in my eyes. It's a profound sense of relief, my sweet," I lied, forcing a strained smile. "Relief that you're so discerning, so utterly dedicated to us." A shadow crossed her face. She sensed my thinly veiled anguish. "You did not appreciate that I practiced with others? I merely wished to gain understanding, to enhance things for you," Alara said, her voice faltering, followed by a deep, shuddering sigh. No, not at all," I reassured her quickly. "I simply regret that I was not the one present with you, that you felt compelled to learn elsewhere. But you are here now, and whatever you learned," I trailed off, then changed tack abruptly. "It is completely dark now. Shouldn't we head inside? The children might be wondering about our whereabouts." "Oh, they are perfectly content," she dismissed lightly. "They are entirely engrossed in each other at this moment." It's quite charming, truly. Such admirable children we have raised. Later that night, restless, I stepped outside for some fresh air. Muffled sounds drifted from the direction of the old woodshed. Peeking cautiously around the corner, I saw them, Seraphina and Lysander, entwined, engaging in behaviors siblings absolutely should not. My stomach churned with revulsion. I retreated quietly and found Alara reading placidly in the living room. Alara. I began carefully. I just observed. Seraphina and Lysander. It's not appropriate, is it? A brother and sister becoming so intimately involved? Why ever not? She responded with genuine puzzlement, her brow furrowing slightly. They are extensions of you and me. Portions of you loving portions of me. It brings them comfort because it's our love reflected. The more affection circulating amongst all of us, the better, surely. Realizing that attempting to argue would only distress her further, potentially causing a significant setback, I chose my words with extreme caution. You know, I hadn't quite considered it in those precise terms. Perhaps you possess a valid point. You comprehend, then? Alara beamed, completely assured, her face alight. You concur with my perspective. We went inside, where my parents had prepared hot tea. My makeshift theory of placation seemed to be holding for now. We soon retired for the night. I overslept, waking late the next morning to find everyone already assembled for breakfast. The previous night's discovery weighed heavily on me. It felt grotesque, deeply absurd. Glancing sternly at Seraphina and Lysander, I saw them flush and quickly lower their eyes. They knew I knew. I resolved to address it properly once we were back in the city. We began packing. I had to be back at the office the following day, and with the school year less than 2 weeks away, constant commuting made little practical sense. Besides, the thought of leaving Alara alone, even with my parents, felt inherently risky, and leaving the children unsupervised now seemed utterly irresponsible. While their behavior horrified me on one level, my immediate priority had to remain Alara's fragile stability. This was hardly ideal parenting, but the potential nightmare scenario felt less immediate than ensuring Alara's well-being. I decided a month back in their normal urban environment, surrounded by peers, might help them reset their boundaries. By late afternoon, the sedan was fully loaded. We exchanged heartfelt farewells with my parents, promising weekend visits if circumstances allowed, and commenced the drive home. After a period of comfortable, companionable silence, I turned slightly to address the occupants of the back seat. "All right, my dears," I said, keeping my tone conversational but firm. "The intense star-crossed lovers phase needs to reach its conclusion. Enough is truly enough. You cannot permit indolence to dictate your futures. You must endeavor to discover your own unique partners in life." Besides, I added, attempting a different angle, I am rather hoping for grandchildren one day, to perpetuate the family lineage. "Father," Seraphina asked tentatively, her voice small, "does that imply Lysander and I cannot ever conceive a child together?" "That is missing the fundamental point entirely," I sighed, feeling a wave of weary exasperation. "You will ultimately isolate yourselves, just the two of you. Your mother and I will not be around forever. When we are gone, you will only have each other. What happens if adversity strikes? And believe me, it visits everyone eventually. There will be no one else to turn to. But if you find partners from outside, they arrive with their own extensive families, parents, grandparents. That constitutes an entire network of support when circumstances become challenging." "Okay," Seraphina conceded slowly, chewing on her lip. "But what if, say, I'm married someday, and perhaps my husband and I have a disagreement, or I just need to be close with Lysander? Can I still seek comfort from him then? As long as it is maintained privately and does not jeopardize your marriage, then fine," I said, feeling ethically nauseated but prioritizing the immediate cessation of the current predicament. The crucial aspect is discretion and ensuring it does not generate problems within your primary relationship. "Okay, I can accept that. What about you, Lysander?" "Sounds fair enough," Lysander mumbled, gazing out the window. "But I doubt I'll be getting married anytime soon. I have to find someone who makes me feel as comfortable as Seraphina does first." "You didn't cease loving me, did you?" Alara suddenly asked, turning to me, her voice small and vulnerable, cutting through the other conversation. Not even when I was away. No, my love, I answered sincerely, my heart aching with the truth of it. Never for a single second. My heart, my very soul, was always tethered to yours. It's just you were too unwell, too clouded by your struggles, to perceive its presence within you. Wait, she gasped, her eyes widening in sudden comprehension. Stop the vehicle. Please stop. I pulled over onto the grassy shoulder. So everything I did, all those things I believed I had to undertake at the facility to reclaim your affection, to beckon your soul back to me, it was all in vain? Because it could not return. It was already there, and I simply could not discern it, could not feel it. Yes, my darling, I confirmed gently, meeting her gaze. That is precisely correct, and I was simply waiting patiently, hoping you would eventually comprehend. She stumbled out of the car onto the verdant verge, sinking to her knees, her shoulders shaking. Oh, my love, I am so profoundly sorry, she wept, tears streaming down her face, glistening in the sunlight. It is entirely my fault. I concocted such insane rationales to explain why my beloved husband would confine me in that dreadful place. Elara, get up. Please, darling, no kneeling. It is not your fault. I insisted, rushing to her side, helping her to her feet, my hands steadying her. I am the one who is truly sorry. What I did, placing you there, it is shameful to even contemplate. The word shameful seemed to resonate, a small, crucial crack in the dam of her distorted perceptions. Do not cry. Please do not cry. I murmured, holding her gently, my cheek resting against her hair. It is all firmly in the past now. We are together, and truly, I never stopped loving you for a solitary moment. Not for a moment, she echoed, sniffling, her breath catching. I know. Your mother informed me. How you fought tirelessly to see me, threatened them with legal counsel until they permitted your entrance. And then they discharged me right away. Oh, my magnificent man. You liberated me from such a terrible morass. Okay, I am well now. Let us proceed, Elara said, composing herself, though her eyes still glistened with unshed tears. I offered her a fresh linen handkerchief, a staple I always carried, prepared for precisely such moments. Elara blew her nose with a loud, decidedly unladylike honk, and suddenly, we both burst into laughter, the sheer absurdity and overwhelming relief washing over us. In the rearview mirror, I saw Seraphina and Lysander staring, bewildered, witnessing the miraculous sight of their mother's sudden, genuine cheerfulness. As if a switch had been flicked, she climbed back into the car, her old spark reignited, smiling brightly as she efficiently clicked her seatbelt into place. Right then, what are we loitering here for? Who precisely are we waiting for? She declared brightly, a renewed vitality in her voice. The sojourn is officially concluded. Oh, how I have yearned for home. I couldn't help but smile, though I also noticed the immediate deflation in the children's expressions mirrored behind me. They understood. Their secret, intense world had just dissolved. They were simply brother and sister again. All the way back to the bustling city, Elara chattered happily, questioning the children about school preparations, quizzing me playfully about the likely state of domestic chaos awaiting our return. As we pulled up to our apartment building, our neighbor, Madam Griffith, happened to be meticulously watering her vibrant window boxes. "Why, Elara," she exclaimed, her voice a theatrical flourish. "You look absolutely radiant. So wonderfully rested. You didn't possess a stitch of color when you departed." "Ah, the lodge air works wonders, Genevieve," Elara called back cheerfully, waving a hand. "Abundant fresh air and vigorous activity. Kept thoroughly occupied, you know. Harvesting wild herbs, assisting with chores. Well, are you simply going to stand there admiring the petunias?" "Arthur," my wife called out to me, already heading towards the grand entrance laden with luggage. "Come in, my dear." "Just securing the vehicle," I replied, grabbing the remaining suitcases and hurrying to catch up with my beloved wife and our children, stepping back into the familiar, comforting rhythm of our life, forever altered, yet finally, blessedly, together again. And so, our turbulent chapter closed, ushering in a new one. Our daughter eventually found a fine young man who cherished her deeply. Our son's path to finding his own partner proved a bit more complex, unfolding with a unique rhythm, requiring more time. But life, as they say, unfolds at its own pace. Time truly would tell.